Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, covering Season 58, 3 versus 3 Grand Arena Championship, Week 2 for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I am joined by most of the regular ensemble here. Dagger is away for the moment. I expect he'll drop in just a little later in the call, but we do have TJ, Sasha, Aisha, and Dagger. Oh, got it. Almost got it right. No Dagger, have TJ, have Sasha Aisha, have Fatal. Gentlemen, it was an amazing week for me. I went 3-0. I lost once last season to Pimpo, and that stuck in my craw, and I got to get back at him, and I won that match, so that was a nice moment. But just fantastic week overall. TJ, how about you?
2-1. I lost against our guildmate, RMC. Obvious, awesome player. But it was more towards I did what as Sasha and I were talking. I done what I've always done. I burned my own bridge. Didn't pay attention to things. Hilarious round 2, but still went 2-1. So I'll take it.
Dig that. Sasha Aisha, how about you, sir?
Yeah, I had kind of, again, pretty light on data points. I ended up with only one real match, so I had 2 forfeits and then, or 2 Rhodium accounts. And then I had a very fun match against Aesop. I ended up getting stuck on a couple of things. Had some learnings and success on D, but lost that match. So it's a recurring theme. I went technically 2-1, but realistically only had one legit match. Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping this week I may get a couple. We'll see.
Very good, very good. Fatal, how about you? How was your week?
2-1, but the loss wasn't really a loss. It was just my computer shut off mid-fight, and that cost me the win. So, always a satisfying way to have a match go.
Fantastic. And I know that the folks at home are dying to know. Kitties are doing great.
Just took one to the vet today. It's got the 105 fever, but I'm not like serious. It's just I had to quote someone, I think a vet or a tech or someone mentioned this, but being a kitten, yeah, apparently it was just kind of vaguely hellish from an immune system having to be like, welcome to the world, and also your owner is deeply irresponsible. So, yep, just spinning plates.
Fantastic. Well, not fantastic, but the show goes on, I guess.
Nothing too serious right now. It's just hard. Give him medication and see how things go. Just keep waiting.
All right. Well, I know we're all rooting for them. But guys, let's jump right into the meta-analysis. It was a busy week. Last week, towing the water against the Great Mothers, virtually everybody was saving JMK to make sure it worked. But this week, I'm not saying it debuted this week, but it certainly did for me, was the Kylo Ren Unmasked leadership with Slacker, with Hux versus Great Mothers, and that was a slam dunk for me. Every round that I used it. It did require the Set 16 Attacker Cron with the Long Text Attacker level 6 and the Turn Meter gain level 3. But guys, aside from me, how did you guys, experience this? Did you try that counter at all, or did you find any other interesting and or novel counters to Great Mothers?
That's it.
So that's what I used. The only nuance I'd add is I used, all I had was a dark side speed up on level 3. And that worked perfectly fine. So I did that, and that was done to me. So it's, what comes around goes around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that it's still doable, but I also have had some folks on Discord pop up and say that with the speed up, they weren't able to, keep that turn meter loop, and eventually somebody intercedes and kills you. I'm glad that didn't happen to you, though.
Yeah, I saw at least one video where I think the third, instead of Spirit, was Dark Trooper Peridia, and there can be some turn meter gain in that kit. The unique of it does. Plus, he'll lead off by throwing the grenade, which is an AOE, where if you have really thinned out, like from health point reduction through turn meter gain, your SLKR like crazy, and you're not an ult, and that's thrown. You can definitely drop. I mean, I think in watching my match and talking with Aesop, he lost his crew to mine. I put Dark Trooper Peridia in. but its SLK I think was an alt, so it was spared it. So you could throw some wrinkles, but yeah, generally it's been really effective.
That's really cool to know, even that you can put a wrinkle in it. I know I had a couple people try with Night Sister Zombie. That didn't stop the one time I did JMK because Plo Koon gets called, the Dispel on Basic takes care of it, and you're moving right along. But, okay. Next one I wanted to cover was Lord Vader, Gideon, and Royal. This team, I know in week 1, caused me to drop with Slacker. And it's mostly just because I didn't have armor along. I think if I had had just even 2 stacks of Beskar, I probably could have made that work. But I did use Lord Vader Mirror this week with Maul and I want to say Ninth Sister. The idea would be just to, kick off and get all of my pushes out before their whole team gets to do too much. And yeah, it's still lost. Like the crappy thing was my dumb self took along the set 16 attacker cron that had the product stacking level 3 versus his Lord Vader with Gideon, which of course has the Gideon cron, so it's got the buffs up level 3, which includes health steal up, which means that if it's down to the Lord Vader versus Lord Vader duel, and each of us has a reasonable chance of applying buff immunity to the other, he gets to buff immunity out my protection up, and then life steal when I get him low. So, neat. I was able to clean it up otherwise, but what do you guys know that's clean for that?
I'm saying 2. I just went out and looked on GG just to see what the data is coming back with. It's remove the ability to do a turn meter, and then Bane seem to be so it's JMK and Bane seem to be your clear-cut winners.
Yeah, I have used Bane before, and that did work. And I was planning on using that in round 3, but I didn't see it. Yes, I forgot about that. That's a good one. Bane with who? Who do you see as... I use Sass, as I recall.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's got to be you then, and it was Sass. But it's showing, like I said, there's not a lot of data on it, just because, it's cool to sit. It's just expensive, right? Because of what Gideon does for you. It literally exterminates some of the key teams that are on defense.
It does.
Now.
I think the reason that it's set this way with Lord Vader is that first you get your Malgar ISC, which is good against a couple of teams right now on offense. But more importantly, if you're wanting to have Gideon on defense, it's certainly not going to do anything to stop Malgus if it's under DTMG, right? We saw that in week 1. Malgus was still working just fine. Like, you could maybe lose your Darth Revan if he was, weak enough and able to get chipped off, but otherwise you were still up and getting through,
Yeah, it looks like it's just limited on what's showing because I don't think a lot of people are setting it, but it's still JMK is the clear cut winner, right? If you're not going to bane it, it's just there is no Gideon
for sure. So that's so the strength of the team is that if you're putting Gideon on defense, it's basically the only way to. No, it's not the only way, but it's probably like the most logical way to set it that isn't with DTMG and not allowing you to get banned. Or not banned, Malgus, my bad. Okay, anybody else on this one, this Lord Vader team? Okay. Next one, I know we'll all have some conversation about this, is the Saw Luthen team, sometimes with Drogon, sometimes with Kyle Katarn. The nastiest time that I've heard anybody having is with the Drogon ones. I set that myself in round 2 versus Pimpo, and that was a team he wasn't able to clear in the end. It was set up top. It was something he got to fairly late in his set of attacks, so he had fewer options. But he must have thought he had it for the first couple attempts. But 6 or so attacks in, it's just it ain't gonna work. How about you guys?
Yeah,
go ahead, Sasha.
Go ahead, TJ.
No. Go ahead, because I got 2 points on it.
Yeah. So same here. I mean, it was something I was terrified of. I think the week before against the Saw Luthen, but with Kyle Katarn, I think I spent 17 squads not getting through it, and so this week, just kind of the nature of my match, I had a Bane fail against. Queen Amidala, some other challenges. So I'm like, all right, I really need to lean into a more creative, non basically non-GL counter to it against ASAP had an all R9 variant with Drogon, and what worked for me surprisingly on the first go, and this is not a recommendation and not for the faint of heart, but I went with BKM, Grogu, and Sabine with the Sabine Datacron, and you're definitely subject to some targeting RNG. Like, I mean, they took out my BKM once, did not take her out a second time. They basically took Sabine to red once and then went back to Grogu. So it wasn't exclusive hard targeting of the IG-12 as I've seen sometimes. But they basically had sufficiently unfocused fire that I was able to hang in there and take it out. And I think it was like a 56 or something. I can't recall. But all three of mine ended up surviving. I mean, the key obviously was just once Drogon was down. I mean, the summons is really brutal as well. But when they were down to 1 DPS, I was able to get sufficient turns to be able to take it out. So yeah, that worked for me. And at the same time, I mean, I felt really lucky. I was actually streaming that where they stopped watching it. And he mentioned when he went against mine, exact same comp, he had his JMK Cat GK fail against it, clean fail. All three of them were killed. And then he had his JML where he was able to get Drogon and Drogon only out. So on Dean, mine, ate up 2 GLs and only lost Drogon before being taken out, I think, by Bane. So it was, big. I found something that I can't say I totally recommend other than in like a break glass scenario, but BKM Sabine did work in that case.
Yeah, I think I did that once last week, and I know exactly what you're talking about with the targeting RNG, with like getting randomly feared.
Yeah.
I think my BKM got one special out in the entire match. Does that sound about right to you?
It's definitely believable. Mine got more than that, but I felt lucky in the RNG. Yeah, the DPS ramps so much that
Mm-hmm.
like by the second time Drogon or the summon is going, um, if they focus on the same character twice, they'll kill it easily. And there's a decent shot they'll one shot. So I was yeah, I felt like I said, not for the faint of heart, not recommended unless it's a moment of desperation. It wouldn't have worked without Sabine. Like to your point of like very few turns, even Sabine, felt like I was not going off them because they get so many assists that it felt like they kept going when in reality it was like one turn that had triggered assists.
Yeah,
Rough.
yeah, I agree with that. The Sabine did the heavy lifting for me as well. Completely agree. Fatal, I know, here, I'm going to bring this on screen. I know you had your own commentary that you would like to offer regarding the state of this fight. We have your screenshot that you offered earlier, front and center.
I don't even know if I would say it's commentary. It's more so just, I think it was week 1 we were talking about whether or not you need to bring an attacker or whether the someone would ramp. And I fought against someone who uploaded their fights, and I would say this seems like a yes to the ramp question. I don't know if that, like, I'm not necessarily out here saying, like, Captain Rex is the best iteration of the team. I do kind of view it as, like, loosely being part of the whole Jenga of, like, do you want Drogon to be somewhere else? Like, if the answer to that is yes, then maybe that changes considerations a bit. But, yeah, I don't know. It's a funny picture. Technically, the person had counterplay if you knew to play around it, but I mean, to be honest, with how that fight went, like, I don't know if I'm popping level 1 JMK ult to play around getting crit in that way. I don't know if I would be thinking about that in that moment.
Yeah, this is incredible.
I can't see. Is there a time stamp on that? Like how far into the fight we are? I'm just curious to an estimate of ramp.
I literally have it's in a YouTube link. I could literally send it right now if you want to see the fight actually happen.
I can pull it
Yeah,
up.
I'm curious how fast that ramping up. I mean, Krex spreads. So, I mean, Saw obviously I think puts out 45 debuffs from the get go, and then Krex adds a whole bunch. That ramping's probably happening really quickly. It's just a matter of getting product out so that they're critical, right?
The link has the timestamp, so it should go right to it.
Oh, thank you.
I got it up on screen here.
Save my Kenobi for this team because this team is nuts.
Oh, that's
I'm bringing in.
That
Yeah, I
is
got
all
the
on
desktop
defense.
audio on just
Got
for this so
the
people can hear this guy. So this is
Zach
him
and
fighting
Steven
you.
offense if anyone goes, and
Yeah.
then a stun on a special with some defense, crit damage, armor pen, and potency.
That's some
So I
high
made
quality
risky plays
stats
so I
too.
could
That's
save it for This
nuts.
comp, guys. I'm not gonna waste Annihilate on that guy.
Okay, so
Well,
JMK
that
just took those
is
first
so
couple hits like a beast from the summon.
Yeah, that's a lot of protection up.
Question is, who am I gonna get rid of? I have to be Saw.
So many
Oh.
debuffs.
This
The
is
word on the
terrifying.
street
Not
is
any,
you
like,
no longer
threat
have
of
protection.
dying.
Yeah,
Unless
as I
we
say,
die.
there's so many debuffs there. You have no. Where's your safety measure? It's coming bad,
Oh,
dude.
this is dreadful. Yeah, that second 10 down in days.
I just look. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's so many debuffs happening, and you're just looking at it like in
Guys,
horror.
that's what
Be
I'm talking
in
about.
horror.
My Kenobi just got annihilated.
Yeah,
Now,
I mean, I
this
wonder-
is
I
still
mean,
with
I
your
couldn't see
defense
was-
modded, Luthen?
Sorry, there was two
This is
two
exactly
talking
what
a
I
second.
meant.
Sorry, I was just asking. This is your defense modded Luthen,
Guys.
though, still?
That is disgusting.
I would describe it as like gas.
Did you
mods.
see that?
Although, actually, to be honest, I don't know if I have really.
Holy crap, guys. Okay, submitting.
Oh right. So I went through 2 weeks of having to just like mod swap it at the very end. It wasn't a very good Luthen. It was just like 3 defense set, 4 protection primary. I might have yoinked some
But-
offense secondaries, but yeah, 3 defense set, 4 protection primary.
That's at least
Sure.
310,000 debuffs that applied there. I'm sorry, it is so fast that like you're just looking. You should be in horror the entire time you're watching that fight. As many debuffs are out there.
Yeah, and considering that was basically then still a tank modded, summoned attacker, summoned trooper there. So the ramping really was just all the Kron. It's not like he needed to have a certain basis of attack built into that, Luthen modding to make that pop.
The moment this is the last week that Saw Gerrera will exist on defense, I would imagine.
Hmm.
I
the support crowns open.
Yeah, so poor Kron won't be
The-
here next 3s.
like Luthen has a Kron, sure. I don't think that Kron's all that good.
Nah, I don't think so either. I mean,
So hang on, Fatal. You're saying I shouldn't remod my JMK squads to all crit avoidance modding and reroll a crit avoidance datacron for my JMK squad?
Look, man, my joy of crit avoidance in a infinite crit meta is well documented. You go with God in doing that, but I don't know. I think I'm ready for set 16 to go. As lucrative
Yeah.
as it was for that fight.
Very fair. Yeah, I feel, it's certainly more obnoxious than set 15. And it was nice to see set 15 go.
You're not playing the same Swiggo though. Set 16 doesn't play the same Swiggo. You're not playing average stuff. You're playing double attacker pushes in. You're playing supports that ultra crits. You're playing tank revive. You're fighting multiple. This not even playing the same game. So to say 16 is like anything else, there's never been a set like this where it literally changes the entire dynamic of what you're used to.
I
Very
didn't
nice.
think 17 would be like 16, but do you guys think 18 will be like 16?
I don't know if we'll see 20 like 16. 16 feels like I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. This has been the first time where it's been really cool, but I don't see how we'll ever see something like this that often.
As far as design, I don't know if the next one's going to have the same design philosophy especially in terms of like the 3, 6, 9 and how they interrelated. I don't know if that's something that they'll continue to do, but unquestionably it needs power, right? Like set 17 is lacking in power. It's good for, its couple factions that it, calls out, but the 3s are not that poppin', the 9s are okay. But there's an enormous amount of power loss between set 15 and then set 16 expiring here. at the end of the next 5 season. So I think we need something that adds quite a bit of power here. It can be different power, but it's got to be a lot. Otherwise, it just feels like you're having the wind taken out of your sails for playing.
I'll be honest, man.
Yeah.
Is this a fault of set 17, or is this just whatever came after 16 was not going to look good? Like, I feel like
I think it's both. I think 16 is unusually powerful. Like I don't know that we've ever really had. We've had some really powerful 3 and 6 combinations over the years. I don't know that we've ever had something as powerful as the support cron, which can basically elevate most teams just by having a support on it. It's a big deal.
We've never had a Datacron that changed Swigo. We have not. We have had things that added to dodge. We've had things. Nothing has ever come across you where you're playing. I mean, you've had Supercrons, right? Like Super Vader, right? Mm-hmm. Darth Vader could come out and solo a team. Fair. There were super teams when Rey had her cron that was ungodly. It's fair, right? These were things that were doing this. This is applying to entire classes of teams that are doing different setups. Look at Fatal's video that he just provided. A summon deleted a galactic legend. It's not the same game. So I'm sorry. Giving us 16 was something that was unusually fun, and I guarantee everybody's got stacked out 16s. 17, you're coming along, and it's like, it's all right, it's cool, but it's
even
no
if
16.
it were all right, I would still be able to like enumerate why it would be all right, but it's not all right, right? It actually is. It feels under average in terms of power.
I'll go to bat for it. I think it's perfectly fine, and I think unless 18 is disproportionately able to replace the amount of workload that 16 has, because right now I've seen a lot of sentiment of people being like, "Oh, 17 is actually a pretty easy set. I don't actually have to farm that many." The moment that 16 is gone, guess what, motherfucker? There's defense in that pool. There's tenacity in that pool.
100% agree.
You got tank revive, you got Jedi stun, you got all this shit that it's like.
Here,
are you sure?
I'm going to give you the double down, right? Everybody just discovered what the whole SOKR happens with the killer for the Great Mothers, and now it's solved, right? I'm going to put in air quotes, solved. When that goes away, your solved answer is now gone, and we're back to let's play the gamble of did it work, depending on what 18 is going to do. But all of these solved counters are on borrowed time because 99% of a lot of them for what you're doing are on the use the attacker, use the support. Let's do it with this revive. It's doing a lot of different things that aren't going to be just there anymore.
Yeah. So, and I take your point, Fatal. Just like set, what was it, 14 with resistance, let you have a whole bunch of viable resistance teams that actually mattered, especially in 3 versus 3. Anytime there's Jedi crons, especially stuff like this with the 6 that stuns, all that stuff, okay, fair enough. You can definitely get a lot of mileage out of that with all your Jedi. But I was thinking more like, set 15. Set 15 was just generically great for anything. You had the bulk, you had the stats, right, with like armor penetration and stuff like that. Like, for example, once set 16 is gone, I don't know how much we'll be having Admiral Trench on defense. Set 15 allowed it beforehand because you had the bulk level 3, and then you could have high armor penetration. You had enough to make up for that. So I believe that set 18 could offer a different profile of power. But I feel like I need power because 17 still feels limited to me. I see, though, it does have some depth. More than I initially conceded.
I think you shouldn't be posting Trench on defense anyway, but that's. I don't like to post teams that died at GG. That's just.
I just think it's 17 just wrangled us back into the, like, if you want to call it the walls of the Datacron syndrome, right? It's what we would expect for a normal set, and that's, in my opinion, what 17 has done. 16 pushes boundaries with a whole bunch of different things, be it the level 3 being able to mix with the light side, dark side, and then also the level 6, which is just hugely advantageous to most of what we've seen. Oh, you still wanted to talk about the Saw thing? Because I got 3 points on it, I guess.
No,
I'll
please.
do short time with you.
Yeah, I know. Right. I know we're taking a lot of time on this topic, but a lot of people have some questions.
Oh, I
so
think
try and be quick about it.
I think it's a great one. I think it's a great one to talk about when it comes to 16. I just feel like we just talked about crew with the mothers, right? And it's like it feels very, in my opinion, very easy. But I'll be sad when the 16 goes away because it's like you're saying it's very easy, and we're gonna get back to the risque. Okay, so for your Saw, I want to give story time with TJ on this. So if you can pull up my round 2 with RMC, and I did this because we talked about Fatal with his, right? He locked his out. So I went against RMC, and if you want to just go, it's like one of the first ones you'll see right there. So our resident birdie gave a counter that said Joe Lee would be okay with the JML team, and I took a proper stun. I feel like it was not bad against just the Kyle, right, with the support. What I want to call out is this is not his Fatal super team. This is just the standard of what you would see with Luthen. The person who ramped and killed me and my full team, including JML as the last one, was the summon. It was not Kyle. Kyle I killed early on. And the story time that goes this way, which is why I laugh at it, and it's like, yeah, Fatal's point is highly immeasurable, and trust me, if you're that person who does it on a standard team, it will beat the shit out of you. So either way, playing the fight, I got the Kyle out pretty early, and I'll say it's a 3-minute fight. So what happened is the first person they deleted, and again, all of this deletion is that summon, just mind you, killed my JKR, completely dead. Right? So I had Jolie. I'm still trying to play the fight and trying to keep control. Jolie revived JKR. The summon didn't like that response. So then the summon went and killed my Jolie. And I was now down to the 2. I'm like, all right, I've got 3 versus 2. I still got JML. It's cool. It wasn't cool, bro. It then deleted my JKR, and I was down 1 versus 3, but no Kyle. So like, all right, we'll see what it could do. He then targeted my JML and deleted it. And it was like consecutive every time that summon went. So to Fatal's point, yes, it ramps. I felt all the points of the damage and what it does. And that was without the super corrects there to help ramp it even further. Which is why I laughed and had to have the story time with TJ, because it was that powerful with this setup. I would also go to say where I still think I have it pretty figured out, and I know it was the question of to JMK or not to JMK. I still think it needs the Jedi, but I was able to fight the round 3. I was able to use JML, and I think the nuances to the fight, you have to be prepared for it. But I feel like I have the fight pretty well pieced together when it comes to support and having Drogon there, because it didn't take me very long, and I picked apart that team no problem. You definitely have to play it correctly, and you definitely have to follow the right steps and watching the turn order. But I had it locked down with JML with the Drogon on round 3 and the support setup.
All right. Good to know. Okay, guys. I think we've beat down the meta matchups pretty well. Let's go ahead and move into segment 2. Your favorite attack and defense of the week. I took the liberty of making some notes ahead of time. Of course, we all spoke about the Saw Luthen, Drogon, Saw Luthen, Kyle, whatever. It was doing well. I'd say the most fun one, and I want to credit Aesop Rock for this, because I was chatting with him before one of my rounds, and he offered this idea. Dad Bod Boba, lead, Hondo, and Nest, with a long text Nestcron. I'm just going to bring him up here real quick, because it's not an attribute you're thinking about too often, but his leadership is just handing out to bounty hunter or scoundrel allies 50% critical avoidance when they have tenacity up. It's not going to happen all the time, but you know, he can put it up for the team, and that is that how it works? Doesn't it come from this? Bounty hunter or scoundrel allies? Yeah. So he's the one that would put it up, and that might help. I actually got a hold with that, and I haven't used Hondo on defense in a while, so that's why it stuck out to me. TJ, how about you?
All right, I'll go favorite attack. You kept bringing it up, and they're like, everybody's trying this Mon Mothma POW with Krex. I faced it against RMC, and I took Iden, was it Iden, Range, and Magma.
I see.
And
that,
I was
yeah.
able to stomp that team out just fine.
Yeah, just attacker, just in a long text attacker level 6, no level 3 of note, no level 9 of note.
Nope. And what you're doing is just controlling it out. Well, what happens is if your POW can't go, this whole I'm gonna set the Datacron doesn't really matter. and that's what it felt like. So I still got to use my item for something, and honestly enough, where I also think went pretty well, Magma. Because the TM reduction stopped just pulling things back, and when it was working out, Magma felt pretty solid on this team, and that's not one you would normally see. So yeah, I had to control Krex of where it was going, but stop POW, then you lock down Krex because they're doing it, and you're doing the double tap, and yeah, it was nothing. So the Iden still stomping names and all the good stuff, and you don't have to have the Iden-Cron.
Very nice.
Defense, honestly,
Yes.
Malgus. Malgus was my favorite defense.
Which round?
It's like I think 2 and 3.
Ooh, all right, let's see what we got here. All right,
doing the grit. So it's like doing the grit, and then I think round 3 as well. It also held out.
This
Malgus,
was madness. This guy was madness here. He was going with grit level 6. Dude, what is that? You don't do grit with Bosk, man.
But here's what I would say though. If you look, because that's a retreat, but if you look. It got some good stuff. What you're having to take, so it's fine.
Yeah, drawing.
Now go to round 3 though, and this is again.
If the guy honestly thought that Grit Bosk was going to get the job done, then yeah, maybe he needed to throw something like that. But this is dope that this guy tried this, and I feel for him.
That's Fury, right? That's an alliance mate of ours.
Yeah, I feel for him.
So it's like what happened here would be what you would think would be the normal setup, right? Yeah. And that came out, but that was a retreat, and then you go and look. And it's like the stuff you're having to take to do it. So it's like Malgus to me, good old OG Malgus right now, with of course at 16, feels like it has legs, and it because of what it requires you to take. Fury tried something similar on me, but because there's no tank revive, good old Jedi does the job still, right? So it's like there's key pieces if you're going to set it that you need to have because you can't just give them nothing. And since you have 3 characters, letting Malgus stay there and maintain and get bigger is not something you want to be. And BSF being there to help keep them and just nicely set up. And Marauder is a monster. Yeah,
I like it a lot.
It takes a lot. You don't get to play nothing, and it's great to see Malgus making Swiggle great again.
Let me ask your take on this. Again, specifically resisting this counter with JKL, you think that this is better than having Malik instead of BSF? You know, if you've got
it is not, but if you go 1 down below, this is the reason why.
Oh yeah,
this is my other favorite team. This is the reason why I like the split. Are you telling me no? I'm saying because then you're still going to take C, right? Anything beyond what's happening, you're pretty much taking C and you're going to pull the C for it. But that allows me to split up my teams because the other favorite team was this comp and this split up. And then you take the attacker level 6 with the Darth Revan. That locks out a lot. Now, somebody caught me last season with this. And then especially like yours.
With Talon, too. That's so smart with the Darth Revan and the Talon.
Here's the tricky piece where I love it so much is, especially for you, who is a very big fan of Talon, it's not the Darth Revan that's really clutching your team. Talon will slap so hard with the attacker with a properly set up one. It literally deleted my team last season, which is why I was liking it this season. Because people are going to forget about it. And you go, it's like, yeah, I'll go trooper this or I'll go do that. And it's like, no, you won't go do that. Go ahead and try some cheeky shit where it's like that. And Darth Revan double tapping you and then Talon will delete your team.
Dig it. Great pick. I like that you highlighted Malgus as well because I found myself flexing him on defense a bunch this season so far. So I like that. All right, Sasha Aisha, how about you, sir? Your favorite attack and defense of the week?
Yeah. I'll go to one that it was different. It wasn't successful for me, but it was a fun one to try, and that was against a gas ETH Ahsoka. I wanted to trying to find a use for an Enoch lead just out of curiosity. I mean, I know it's probably not deserving of being in a top tier match, but tried it with the Night Trooper Kron on attack. So if you go down a little, yeah, down a bit here to S, and you'll see it's a failure against and you know I was thinking, you know, gosh, if I could just avoid crits from go up a little bit, up.
Did I miss it? What
Um,
am I looking for?
yeah, it's the Enoch
Yeah. Oh, the
against
Enoch
gas.
versus Saw. I'm sorry. I was looking for some other.
Yeah. So,
Go ahead.
oh no, that's a previous week. You're in a different week, I think.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. But it, I mean, the issue was, I think, just sufficient defense probably on the Gascron. The Gascron had what, like 300 something percent defense, and as much as the Enoch squad will ramp, like I just couldn't bust through. It would take a while to get gas down. Once I did, you know, it was in the last like probably like 20 seconds of that 3.5 minutes that I was able to take the two sides down.
Wow.
But yeah, I was impressed with the gas ETH snips against that Enoch squad, because I actually felt like being protected from crits would be a big difference maker.
Yeah, and
turns
Gas's
out
counterattack is shut off and all that. Yeah, I could see why you'd think you'd had a chance with that.
Yeah, so it ended up. I mean, by the time I think I got down to just gas, Enoch was already dead. I think I had a ramped night trooper, but I think he was just on his own there. So there wasn't a lot else to it. And I think, you know, the defense we already touched on. Like it really is that Saw, Luthen, Drogon combo. And I said it with high defense, like 337% defense. And the fact that, you know, it took JMK full wipe on his JMK. JML, like he was very close apparently to not getting Drogon out, in which case he would have had a second GL down to a full wipe. But he was able to get it down, and I think that was probably the one standout. There's nothing else that really resonated.
Right on. No, thanks for sharing. Like that. Fatal, how about you, sir? Your favorite attack and defense of the week?
I guess just as a result of my playstyle, I don't really have any spicy individual fight examples, just because so much of my style is just like the obvious trade down into the fatigue game plan, where my attacks are very hacky and like telegraphed and like obvious, and then my opponents are just like, yeah, they spent all their good teams until they ran out of them, and then I had some, you know, they fell below the line. I had some like B-shelf stuff. The fight that I would say was a highlight for me, that wasn't really about the fight itself, but just the highlight is I finally got to scam someone out in like some of my finest work. I won a GAC round with 1 second left.
Oh, wow. Like, tell me, so you're saying that had you not finished exactly
Scroll down
when
to the
you
bottom
did-
of this page. Scroll down to the bottom of this page. That boss fight against Tuskens. I started that fight with 1 minute
8:58:17.
left. That's when that fight started.
Man.
And I got the snipe nuke on Chieftain with 1 second left on the clock. And when I got out of the match, it was tallying results.
Wow. And what is the score on this? Yeah. So you needed the clear, right?
Yeah, it was just like,
Man.
it was a turbo round that I did a bunch of messy shit on. And
Alright.
I feel like with you perpetually battling the clock and like the extreme drama that we get to, there was at least some risk that when that happened, that you were going to send into another dimension. Like that would just ultimately end your existence here. Your mission was accomplished, and Fatal would present someplace else to challenge other, I don't know, like timeline challenges or something. That was so tight.
I didn't actually stream this round, but they were actually kind of attacking as I was attacking in the last 40 minutes.
That's awesome.
And they basically, I don't know if it was a fake out or if it was just like they finally figured it out, but it basically looked like I was only keeping them to one zone until like 15 minutes left. And so I started fucking around very, let's say, unnecessarily. And then all of a sudden those zones on down, I was like, oh no.
Oh, yeah. The panic sets in.
And yeah, sometimes you run Vsauce Crown with Bosk, and it turned out I didn't need the revive, but having that cleanse on basic was incredibly useful for keeping Mandalorian clean so that he could keep on cycling his ult in under 1 minute.
Jeez. What a mess. Yeah, the dispel, I would not have thought of that, and that definitely takes some time to play around otherwise, so wow. It's stressful, man. It is stressful watching you in these last, like, you'll give yourself like not even 40 minutes. It's just, man. All right, guys. We've reached the end of this week here. Let's talk about lessons learned, final thoughts. TJ, why don't you kick us off? What do you got for the people?
All right, so I think for just this week, it's just going to be piecemealing stuff together, right? I think we've got everything pretty much. We're under this normal. We're solved, and it's going to be a couple tweaks of things that hopefully get you, like if you wanted to do the LV Gideon or something like that. I just don't. A lot of the other things are going to be there and now are kind of prescribed, and maybe that's what we use to our advantage. It's just the normal round 3 or week 3 setup we're running into now.
Very good. Very good. Sasha, Aisha, how about you? Your final thought, your lessons learned, your word for the people.
I guess just kind of big picture for me, I'm still having fun with it, and as fun tends to sometimes run in conflict with competitive advantage, leaning a little bit more towards fun, but and I think some of that actually, as I kind of reflect on it, is I really want this Rhodium thing to get fixed, because so I have like sufficient time playing the game, and it doesn't feel like every moment I just got to like sap for all the joy that I can. But so that's part of it, and then I guess the other thing that I'd say is I'm kind of curious just to see, not for this week's 3v3, but to see what sort of the Balin meta and like this Shinhati I don't expect to disrupt 3v3 meaningfully this week, but like clearly there's going to be some fun stuff coming with that, and just excited for it.
Very good. And Fatal, how about you, sir? Your lessons learned, your final thought, your word of advice for the people at home.
I'm not sure that I really have one. You talk about being in an alternate dimension, but that's kind of where I've been, that I'm only right now kind of coming down. Like this, I still feel like this is week 1 for me. This is the first week where I actually got like a hot utils automate successfully. And I was supposed to be 5-1 or 6-0 this season, but instead I'm 3-3, so I deranked a bunch. So really all this is like, I don't know. I just need to do a ton of rank repair. I heard from Tom Ford that apparently the Erodium situation isn't nearly as bad as it looks. That is just like, if you look at the leaderboard at the wrong times, then it will you'll see like 80% more people than are actually actively joining. I don't know if that's true, but that gave me some hope that like maybe it's time to do a more extended rank repair and actually get back to how things should be. I don't know if that's true.
Well, I'll say this.
But you guys are like in the top 20, and he was saying like outside of the top 20, it's actually not that bad at this point.
See, I don't know. Here's my feeling. It feels like the further out you go, it feels like the harder you have to push to beat the tide. Like you would need to have been 5-1 or 6-0 up until this point to overcome. Like for example, I finished out. I want to say I was in the low 50s at the end of last week, and I went 3-0, right? And I started this week at 50. So you're telling me it's supposed to be better out this way? It feels like I'm still, swimming hard against the current, and it's pushing pretty back against me. Pretty hard.
Are you talking about Erodium stuff or rank stuff?
I'm talking about the Erodium stuff, like how the Erodium stuff affects the rank stuff. Because going 3-0 and then basically treading water is an effect of the Erodiums. So I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Now if you get out into the hundreds, 200, 300, 400, out into the hundreds, it'll take you longer to, meet them, but there is no stop to the leak from the top. You're still having new ones leak in. So, if anything, the problem will grow into lower ranks. That's my worry about it. So, if I'm you, I would just be pushing as hard as you can, because if you're not, I feel like you're getting pushed further out to sea. Further and further out to
I
sea.
don't know. I feel like if I apply myself and start cracking skulls, I feel like I should be able to get back to roughly the equivalent of where I was.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I think what
No
you're
doubt.
pretty much saying here is that the whole reason you haven't is you haven't been feeling like it would make that much a difference if you did. And I'm saying I think it might make a difference.
Yeah, it wasn't that I felt like it wouldn't make a difference. It was just a combination of life factors and being like, I don't know if I should climb right now. Because I literally saw the thing that he was referring to of like, yeah, if you look at it at the wrong time, it looks really bad. I was like, yeah, the fuck it does. It looks real bad. It's like, yeah, they're not joining. That's
Fair
what Tom Ford told me anyway. So his
I would
word
say-
is law.
I'm literally rank 85 last week, 2-1, rank 85 this week, 2-1, rank 85, and we went from no erodiums to right now I have one in our bunch. So to give you a 50 plus but under 100, it still feels. I'm still fighting 3 rounds of real stuff. I would definitely say you're getting to the point like Tash, you going 3-0 and getting 50. Yeah, you're gonna see it more because the funnel is there, right? So you're funneling the top people who are just getting in. So you're gonna feel a bigger push. Sasha's in Sasha land. So that is just what it is. But for the 50 pluses and all
I'm
that,
saying exactly that. Like, I had what you would otherwise expect to get, right? I had 3 legitimate matches, no rhodiums in the week, went 3-0, and basically treaded water. And that is the erodium effect. Like, so think about that. The only people that have the opportunity to advance within the top 50 at all are going to be the people that go 3-0, and even then nothing's guaranteed to progress at all. You can just hold the line for a 3-0 week. All right? No, Fatal, I
Maybe my information was flawed.
No, I encourage you. I want to
I'm
see
parroting
that.
stuff that I heard and not saying the shit with my chest. So
that's what. But I think that's what it is. Fatal it's subject to bias based on the personal experience, right?
Exactly.
So
I can only speak to what I'm living through.
That's all we can say when you're saying it, right? Sasha can only speak to living in Sasha Land. And Sasha Land is I got one legitimate match. If we go back to listen to all of the different points of view from every time we've done this, Sasha will 99%. I had one legitimate match. Ask being 50 and going 50 after 3-0 makes sense because of where he's at. 85, and I've been in the top 100 the entire season. I've went 2-1 and didn't move. So that would make sense. Task going 3-0 and staying no movement, that's the effect. But that's a personal bias based on where he's at. Just like for you, you go 3-0s on your stuff. Fatal, your climbing is going to be. You're going to move like it's crazy. You go 2-1, you're advancing up because it's just not the same experience.
is the understanding right now that more erodiums are being added, or that it is just a pool that occasionally people from that pool start playing again?
I don't know.
My impression is that there are some new ones that come in, but there are far more familiar faces. Like in terms of the ones that, and I'm most familiar with those that actually sign up. I think Tom's right that I don't know about the ratio. I don't think it's a 4-to-1 ratio. I think it's probably more like half or a little more than half.
The number was
are. Yeah, or whatever number it is. There's a meaningful amount that don't sign up, and that inflates, or actually for everybody else deflates rankings, right? Because they show in the global rankings, but when brackets are created, they're not included. So you'll see people jump back up. Like I've certainly been in situations where I was like ranked 11th overall, and I have like 3 erodiums behind me and a legit account, but that legit account, which is 15th, and I at 11 end up in the top 8 bracket. Like I definitely see times like that, but there are a number of them that are signing up, and I think that group of erodiums clearly they're active. I mean, maybe they're more likely to quit than normal accounts, but they're active enough, and they're going to continue to filter down unless there's a full reset of the skill meters. And so, like, the thing that I would hate for like you and Tass, because it's just like it's a loss for the whole community, is you guys end up in that spot where like I am right now, where I can't fail my way out of it unless I don't sign up because I get 2 cheesecake, matches a week. And so it's
call
like,
it
oh,
the
I
Event
went in.
Horizon.
Exactly. And that, like, it's one thing, it kind of sucks for me, but it would really suck if it's you guys. And it's like, I mean, hell, I would doubly suck for me because I'm living vicariously through you guys most of the time now. So um, I think you could climb a ways, but you're going to want to sort of keep an eye on that active group. That's my impression. That active group is so inflated in their skill rating. It's like it's just slowly filtering down to the real top like 40, 50, which are the ranked 100 or whatever. That's my impression.
Hopefully that
Situation
answers what you
seems
wanted,
fluid.
Fatal. Sorry.
No, it just seems like it's fluid and like continuously evolving. That like we'll see where it is in a month.
I feel like new names keep getting added. Like, it's not a lot every month, but it is some. Like, there's no way to explain that this issue has been going on as long as it... Because we know these Erodiums aren't beating Kyber people, right? So we know that when they're having these matchups, they're losing. Okay, then those ones are sinking down. So how is it that this has been the vast majority of the last year that this issue
I was
has been
actually about to
happening?
ask, how long has it been since this started at this point?
It is
Do we know?
absolutely greater than 6 months. Like, it is heinous that this is going on. Like, we are closer to a year than we are to 6 months of this issue. So,
All you
That
need to
seems
do
like
is
I mean, intuitively, like, there's absolutely no way that this could still be happening if it was still the same original pool of people that triggered, at the beginning of this bug appearing, right? Like, it must
literally-
be new names. It must be.
all you have to do is go back to the post that came out about the supposed fix.
Well,
Go
when they
back to-
acknowledged it, at least, yeah.
No, Meathead. I'm telling you, if you want to talk about the times, not the acknowledgement, that we waited months for that. If you want to talk about when it started, all you have to do is go back to Meathead's post about the updated algorithm that was done for GAC. Literally, go to that email or that post, and then post that is when we've had this going on. They only acknowledged it months. Because you can go back to our plotting and scheming where we kept saying, are they going to acknowledge it? Are they going to
And that
acknowledge
was
it?
in the spring, guys. That was in the spring when that
But that's what I'm saying. It's like-
post-acknowledgement post came out.
This doesn't have to happen right now, but if anyone can figure out when the Rhodium flood started, that would be useful to me. That I can kind of poke at me and be like, "Hey, it's been a year and a half now, or something."
All we got to do is go to
I'll take a
Meathead's
look, Fade. I'll
post.
circle
I was
back
going to
to you.
say, you can just look back through his own post history and know that when he made a post acknowledging it, that was 3 months in, right?
Yeah, but I was just saying, go to when they said
And
they
that was
fixed
March,
the
I
algorithm.
believe.
Okay, so it
I
was
believe
right
it was
around the
March
turn of the
he made a
year.
post.
So it was like January of this year, man. Like it is that outrageous. So it absolutely cannot be the same pool of people. It is just drip drop a few new names every season.
Yes, because there's times where we thought it was getting better, right?
Yeah,
We thought there was times where
we
it's like
deluded
Sasha
ourselves.
Sasha got a point where he got a 3. Sasha, did you not do a fight where you got all 3 rounds of an actual play, and it was like, because we had to comment about how rare that
it
was?
fantastic.
And that's what I said. But this is what I'm saying. If you really want to go to when it happened, go to the change in the GAC algorithm that Meathead posted. Not the acknowledgement that something happened. Just go to when they said, "Oh, we're making this update to the algorithm. We've got some exciting things in there." That post from there is when this started.
All right. Well, Fatal, if you're able to dig into that in any meaningful sense, God bless. I mean, I wish you all the best with it. Lord knows, all of us would love to see this thing gone. So, make whatever headway you can.
Just to be clear, I mean, this is not advocacy of like everyone should go bother Meathead about this, but Meat seems to be like one of the best community managers we've
He's
ever
a nice
had. That like,
Yeah.
if this is like directly affecting you, like, I would say just take a shot and message him kindly. Don't.
Yeah.
Just like
I will do that. Mm-hmm.
My only point on Meathead has only ever been his posts. It's the spell check and the grammar check on his posts and doing that. But for communication, agreed that he's been one of the most communicative, the one to be out there and put posts out multiple times versus a lot of the others where we were dying for info and he's trying to keep it regular. My thing is one piece of missing crucial information could be something as simple as the a, the and the or the but. And then that messes up the whole post, and like your assumptions go wild because we're clamoring for details.
And I really appreciate like his gamer perspective, his intent. So yeah, I'm not one to dump on him or be critical. I'm honestly really grateful that we've got him. But yeah, self advocating is totally logical, man. I will. I'll dig in a little. I'll share with you what I find in terms of just sort of the history here. But I'll look to message him as well. Good call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the more voices speaking on this, the more I might, grease the wheel, so to speak. If it's like, I don't know, I'm not the boy who cried wolf, but I'm the boy who like, it's kind of just expected to be like, hey, it's a bug. It's like, yeah, fucking okay. And like, the moment that we get like more voices speaking out of it, it's like, okay, this is like actually.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. Right, wrong, or indifferent. You're the kid always raising his hand in the class. So yes. I appreciate that. Well, before we move on from you, Fatal, and I wrap things up here, as the only other content creator on the show, where can the good folks find you?
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV. I will be streaming my first week of GAC this upcoming week, so looking forward to that.
With real boy mods and everything. As intended.
And everything.
Fantastic. All right. Well, for my part, my final thought, my wrap up here is this is the height of my power for any season, right? I'll have 2 weeks of intel to sort through on any of my opponents. I'll be able to see what they've been about. So, usually these first couple of weeks when we have a new Datacron meta in 3 versus 3, you're setting whatever the, emergent power teams are bottom front to see what it takes from your opponent. And then now here for this third week, you're able to look at their history and think about how you want to set a bottom front that's full of draws for that. Maybe you're not having all power teams up front. Maybe it's a little bit more about gamesmanship and drawing things and how many of those nasty toys are sitting in the back. Or maybe you saved a couple to make sure that you're extra clean on attack. But for any intel-based player, this is the week to make your stride. So I went 3-0 in week 2. It's going to be really hard to try and match that effort in week 3. I've got some great opponents here, but I'm damn sure going to try. All right, guys, we've made it here to the end. Naturally, if you want to catch me live, you can see me on twitch.tv/Tassinix. I do upload all my VODs from my streams up here onto my YouTube, Tassinix Gaming, with chapters added so you can get through it easily. We've also got some other Soul-related content there on the YouTube that you might be interested in. Naturally, the Plotting and Scheming podcast is shared on YouTube Podcasts, Spotify. I also include the RSS feed link in each episode's description, so if you're an Apple Podcast listener, you can plug that in, enjoy the show there, or wherever else you like your podcasts. But we've also got the Datacron set guides for sets 16 and 17. I make those with Aesop Rock, one of the very top players in the game. I think he is currently at the very top of the chart. It's always a pleasure to get his thoughts on these, so fantastic to have him. Also have the mod guide videos, starting with some factions and characters that you guys asked for. I've just been moving through those, and we're wrapping up the Admiral Trench faction this week. Got some great things in the works for the weeks to come, so those are up there. We've also got what is it? My how-to mod guide videos that I made with Dagger. So just how to mod 1 and 2, starting from scratch, how to build up a quality inventory of great mods. All of that's there on the YouTube. And of course, if you like what you're seeing here and you want to support the stream and the channel, I did make a Cash App at you guys' request. That is $Tassinix. But otherwise, if you're looking to get something back, maybe raise your Intel game and join the community, there is a Patreon. So check out patreon.com/Tassinix for any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player. There is something there of interest to you. $5 a month gets you into the TAS house at VIP access, where you get early access to Plotting and Scheming. That comes out for public release on Fridays, and my patrons usually get it Tuesday night or Wednesday morning within hours of us recording it. In addition, you also get early access to the Datacron set reviews, and of course a dedicated text and voice channel where you can find me lurking on Discord. If you want to pick my brain, just chat, whatever. But thank you so much to Andrew, Arj, Brock Thudsteel, Deadpool Kyle 28, JJ's Productions Twitch, Jobin4527, Johnny B. Ottawa, Raised Malbus, Renee Bebe, Sam Vimes, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, Sweens14, White Wolf, and Zoltre. Moving up to the $10 a month tier, VIP Access Plus. This gets you the bundled patron to me and to OmegaBot. So if you watch any of my streams and you like that detailed scouting report I do at the start, that is a function of the patron feature of OmegaBot, where I can pull greater than 2 weeks of history, get a downloadable HTML report with integrated links that I can easily click to look up specific counters, get more detailed data. But the real strength of OmegaBot is being able to get an at-a-glance sense of what your opponent is about offensively and defensively. Thank you so much to Stryker and Esh Sotnikam. Moving up to VIP Access Premium, that's $15 a month. That's the Double Bot Bundle. Patron access to me, to OmegaBot, and of course to Hot Utils, the premier tool for your mass inventory management for your mods. Of course, swapping easily between created loadouts for Territory Battle, Territory War, Grand Arena, Raid. Just a few clicks can save you literally hours of work with this. A bunch of other functionality that's really cool. Thank you so much to Duckstab, Funky, Ibanec, General Milan, Sir Boss, Quig, and Wilco for taking that offer. And of course, at the top of the list, in Jester's Club Elite, Nomad's Reaper, the one and the only. He will pop in from time to time, drop hundreds of subs, thousands of biddies, incredible support over the years. Thank you so much, man. All right, last but never least, our special thanks. First, to Uniforce, one of my original supporters back in the day, bought me this mic I'm speaking to you on right now, and even though he's long since quit the game, we remember him fondly from the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you so much for all your work in the background, keeping our highly inquisitive and destructive 6-year-old from permanently damaging our home while her father is attempting to be halfway decent at a phone game. Your efforts are appreciated. And of course, as always, to my co-hosts, the absentee dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, it is a pleasure to work with you guys on every week, preparing this show. I think we all learn a little bit something to take in the week to come, and I know our viewers love it. Wouldn't change a thing, and man, I just appreciate the hell out of you guys. All right, let's go ahead and go back to the main scene here. All right, we've wrapped up week 2. It is week 3 coming. Have everything dusted off. I hope you've gotten everything locked in and you're good to go. But until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.